Winston Peters told One News a short time ago there's no excuse for the language and actions of a New Zealand First staff member involved in an altercation just over 3 weeks ago. We've been given a video of some argy-bargy between the staffer and protesters at a party campaign event.
What the hell is argy-bargy? Honestly. Anyway, I'm just going to sit here quietly in the corner and I'll pause it.
Political reporter Mikey Sherman has the story.
What started off as a protest at a New Zealand First event quickly turned ugly.
Hey, that's not your property, get the away from it.
The parliamentary staffer seen here is from the office of MP Jenny Marcroft, with others soon involved.
You're voiding our privacy. There is no privacy in public, you idiots.
Exactly. There isn't any privacy in public. And he comes over and tells us we're invading his privacy. We're on a sidewalk.
The confrontation happened at a bar in Auckland's New Lynn.
No, it happened on a public sidewalk. It didn't happen at a bar. We were never at a bar.
At the campaign launch of New Zealand First candidate Rob Gore last month.
Now this guy, Jacob Tobin, apparently a few people have found him on Facebook and are comfortably offering help to, apparently he seems to have issues crossing the road, so people are offering their assistance on Facebook. So I hear he's been blocking a few people.
Political commentator Shane Tepo was there.
It was pretty ugly. I've been to a few political meetings and I've seen political mealies. In terms of fisticuffs, etc., it wasn't much.
Yeah, he's the Muppet in the red shirt with the, you know, I'm cool glasses, and comes up and starts getting stroppy in Steve's face. So political commentator, he came right up in our face with the rest of them. So yeah, I don't know how impartial he can be. You've got the guy who thinks we're invading his privacy. You can hear him in the background going, "What a wanker! What a wanker!" Which is quite a shocker. When Jacob comes round, you know, thug number 2, thug number 1, man-child, apparently seems to be Jenny's help so he works for New Zealand First. But yeah, it didn't look like he was getting a talking to at all. It was thug number 1, Jenny's right-hand man, apparently, that decided that he just said shut that off, and decided to then push Paul off when Paul was coming down to block him from getting to the PA. He pushed Paul clean over, then he pushed Steve over, he knocked over our PA, bent the aerials. He then also grabbed the mic off of Steve and broke the head off of the mic, and in fact, there it is right there, snapped the head clean off. And broke the aerials because it fell backwards and the aerials were up and they just got bent. You know, we're talking $54.50 worth of costs of repairs. So who's going to pay for that?
The group known as United Families for Justice say they were protesting over Oranga Tamariki with a call for Minister Tracy
Here's Steve with a big grin on his face.
Martin to resign.
We were calling for her resignation and the resignation of Granier Moss.
And we wish to call for the resignation of Tracy Martin.
And then they just basically bolted and attacked us.
You can't. Hey, that's not your property, get the away from it, right?
Hey, come on, New Zealand First, we're democratic.
What occurred is disputed.
No, because the camera doesn't lie, and I caught it in about 3 or 4 cameras. There's no dispute. It's clearly obvious. So they also made false statements to 111. They said that we were shoulder barging politicians. Never happened. We sat there quietly for over an hour listening to them yabber on, and Steve got to speak for 57 seconds before Manchild comes in and takes over.
What really disturbed me was the language and the wild, unsubstantiated.
What was unsubstantiated was pug number 3, after thinking I was Steve and that I'd brought my son along with me. He then accused me of kidnapping, now that's unsubstantiated, and accused me of bringing a kid into it. The young boy came with his dad. I had nothing to do with it, and my children have never been in care for them to go back into care. By him saying that, that means he thought I was Steve, because he knew of the issues Steve had had. So it's well known. It's shocking. So, and how did they know it was Steve? Who knows? Perhaps I showed up in a van that's registered with under Steve's name.
The allegations that they were making against New Zealand politicians.
I used to vote for New Zealand First, and I even asked Ron Marks, Doris Balls and Tracy Martin, because you support the New Zealand government using children in international drug operations.
Absolutely shocking what happened to Steve. His kids, the custody was given to his ex-wife. She had buddied up with kingpin of Indonesian drug importers of methamphetamine, and they make it, bake it, and then they were laundering the money through buying high-end expensive cars and then selling them and getting the cash through, cleaning the cash that way. The police were holding, in fact, as far as I know, it's still in operation, Operation Phantom, and to avoid risking or blowing Operation Phantom's cover, they did not want SIFs going in there with the police uplifting children to give them back to Steve, or doing what they should do, because the health and safety of the child is mandatory and paramount according to the Child Care Act. So, you know, they didn't do what they were supposed to do and get those kids out of harm's way. There were machetes and knives. You should see some of the pictures I've seen of the blood when they came round and tried to kill Steve one night. So yeah, it's shocking. And the police knew this guy. He was previously convicted on drug charges. He was previously convicted on firearms charges. And Linda Lee Lawn, one of the police officers, was involved in his previous arrest, and yet she was fully involved here. The ministers were involved, and Tolly knew about it. Okay, so it's not unfounded allegations when Steve's talking about his kids being left in a house which, what was the word? I forget the word, but it was extremely unsafe for those kids to be there. But nobody listened to Steve. If you go to Google, you can go and look up a thing called Judge Slams SIFs for ignoring father's cries. You go and look up that, and it'll show you the article. They talk about it. They show you the AK-47. They show you the high-end cars. One of the cars was set on fire outside one of the places over on the North Shore. You know, this stuff happens, and all Steve wanted was his kids to be safe. So they were left in there for 18 months. The stress gave Steve, now has health problems because of the stress that's all been caused. It's cost him lots of money going through the court battles for 7 years, as I'm sure you can imagine. But he's certainly all the wiser at the other end for it, and he's not going to let other people go through the same if he can help, which is, you know, commendable. Anyway.
And the continued abuse of children in state care.
That's not unsubstantiated. There's been well documented up until present day of children being abused in state care.
It was absolute rubbish. We sat there for an hour and 3/4 and listened quietly to New Zealand First speak.
The protesters called police and then followed up in person.
The news is saying that after calling, the protesters called the police and then ran round and gave them a chase up. That was me walking around the back, because I'd seen 4 cars go past, and 111 told me to wave out and get the attention of the officer. They just kept driving past me and kept going round the back of Newland Police Station, which is why I went round there, and I was still quite heated. But yeah, they told me they're trying to deal with the protesters, which is understandable because of the first call from thug number one, the man-child, when he decided to, you know, just barrel over everything and shut us down. And I would like to apologise for mine. I don't normally swear a lot, but when I get heated, you know, it's something I've got to work on.
The people are still there that assaulted me, so perhaps an appearance would be awesome.
Police confirming to One News they responded to a report of a disorder. Parties were spoken to, but no arrests were made.
Responded to a report of disorder. Well, I called up and said that I'd been assaulted. The video and audio recording of that call clearly show that. So, again, they're responding to a report of disorder made by the guy that came and created the disorder, that New Zealand First worker that was walking along with Jenny.
New Zealand First leader Winston Peters has in the last hour told One News the staff member involved was immediately warned about their behaviour. Mr Peters says whatever the provocation, there is no excuse for the type of language and actions seen in the video. An altercation in the heat of the campaign trail. Mikey Sherman, One News.
Yeah, so we were exercising our democratic rights after standing there and watching them exercising their democratic rights. They're all going on about how they support democracy. We exercise our freedom of speech, or freedom to seek, receive and impart information and opinions of any kind in any form, which is the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act, section 14, 1990. So yeah, they didn't like it. You know, we didn't talk about spitting in drinks like Shane Jones did, sitting quietly in the back with his hat. You know, he's a shady looking character. Anyway, that's me. Catches.
Don't get caught speeding and head back so we can offer fiscal relief and financial assistance. Anyway, Hepati, are there any questions?
We are very supportive of everybody's democratic rights. So we are here today to protest what we're doing with New Zealand Police Superior Court of Appeal and our democratic rights. Now, I used to be a funder of New Zealand First. Yeah, you need to listen to this. And he was a nice young man. All right, the man who spoke, just a little naive. I used to vote for New Zealand First, and I even asked Ron Marks, Dorrance Balls and Tracy Martin, because you support the New Zealand government using children in international drug operations and the continued abuse of children in state care. And we wish to call for the resignation of Tracy Martin. Oh, Shane Doan will eat some taxpayers' money.
You can't. Hey, that's not your property. Get the f away from it, right? Hey, come on, New Zealand. Where's democratic You can't. Hey, that's not your property. Get the f away from it, right? Hey, come on, New Zealand. Where's the democratic right? Get away. Get the fuck. You're right, because you're the one that just attempted to steal someone else's property, you idiot. So, we're here too. We voted. There is no privacy in the public, you idiot.
What part of human rights don't you understand?
Freedom of speech! Freedom of speech! Don't fucking touch me! Don't 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 touch me! I can get rid of my life! Don't fucking touch me! I'm not touching you! What the fuck are you doing? Don't touch me! You approached us, Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Get out of my way!
I don't have to get out of your road. I can stand with the I like.
Oh, get away! Get away from me!
You mate.
Hey, don't fucking just.
Or what? Or what?
Big mouth, big mouth.
Or what? Oh, am I going to get it, am I? Do you think I'm scared of you?
Oh, what, holding this camera?
It's not
Get the fuck out of my way, I'm trying to cross the street. I'm trying to cross the street. Trying to cross the street.
Is the street in the road of the van? Is the street in the road of the van?
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Get the fuck away from me.
Get your kid and go in the car, take him home.
I'll do whatever I like. This is my democratic right, buddy. You like your democracy? This is my democratic right.
Sad you're bringing the
freedom of speech.
Try and push him against it. That is ridiculous.
Push who against what?
Why you bring the child here?
Camera here. Cameras all over the place. You're screwed.
You wait till later on. You wait till later on. You wait till later on, brother.
Oh yeah, and then what? Is that a threat?
No, your kid will be going back fucking under care, bro.
What kid?
Oh, is this not your kid? Whose kid is this then?
I don't know. I don't bring children into fights, you idiot. You want to bring a child into your adult fucking politics.
Get out of my way, get out of my way, I'm trying to cross the street.
Cross the fucking street then.
Get out of my way, I'm going to go over this side of the street.
I'll sit right here, prick.
As far as I'm concerned, the police should charge Jacob and man-child with common assault and willful damage for man-child. Jacob, just assault.